you take heat, in fact, when it's on, it's against the law because it hasn't got a regulator on it. But when it's on, this thing radiates heat successively in successive stages, and it's fucking great.
And did you design it?
I designed it, yeah. And the serpentinic, whatever you call it. It's got a draft to it, etc. It works very well. And this stuff is all basically from my wife. She put all this shit together, except for the fact that some of the artwork is done by my sons.
And any stories behind these masks?
Any what?
Stories?
Oh, no, they're just collectibles. It's real good African art. You don't get that much anymore either. Those were different days.
And how about the cutting board? What's that all about?
You mean the block?
Yeah.
Well, it was a block for in San Francisco. That's my understanding. It's got this scalloped edge here. That's for the meat sliding off a chop.
Oh. And where did you guys pick that up?
I picked it up in a second-hand store when second-hand stores used to have this kind of shit.
Yeah.
You don't get it anymore. You can't find this.
That's beautiful.
Anywhere. Anyhow.
Any favorite sculptures that you have around here?
No. There's one outside, but this is exceptionally sophisticated. Both of them, but this one in particular, because it's got it's a folder. The eyes on it. I mean, the balance. It looks like it has only it's balanced on 2 points, and it's not. It is 3 points because the 1 point is a flat.
Looks like M.C. Escher.
Not even that. Better than Escher. There's another one outside. A couple of them outside. Actually, more than that. It's just a lot of shit. Oh, here you go. You came in. This is not my shit. I'm harboring it for somebody else. Anyhow, here's one. Down there's a bronze piece.
Oh yeah, I see. And what's the story behind that?
It's another variation of this kind.
And this is not the one that Dave had in his house?
This is not the one. Dave had an even better one, but the dumb fuck didn't even know it. I mean it. That's part of this is another one right here.
I'll get it from this angle.
Yeah.
Perry, how long have you lived here for?
Like 50 years, 55, 60 years. We're going out and back for a moment, just for a moment, to show you another one. We probably could go out that door more easily. No, fucking let's go.
Okay.
Oh yes, I forgot this little gem. Big gem.
And did you take sculpture classes or welding classes?
Yeah, bronze casting.
Where?
Long Beach State. Cal Long Beach. Cal State Long Beach.
And you had an undergraduate in math at University of Illinois?
Yeah. Undergraduate, graduate in math.
And did you ever go back to Illinois after that?
No, I was a lousy mathematician. Actually, a pretty good mathematician in a few limited senses. We're coming out here for one piece in particular.
Not bad for 90, Perry.
Well, that's the problem. Here it is. This is a masterpiece. This is masterpiece.
Oh, I like the rock. Was that an afterthought, or did you always know about
No. It was part of the development. That's what I keep telling you about the evolutionary process. This business about government is the kind of government that I'm talking about. It's got a name in it, and it's in the book. It's in the book Cogitans. And it's called, this form of government that I'm talking about is called Dirigiste Heurism. And it's heuristically hierarchic and hierarchically heuristic. That's how it operates. In other words, it's always under churn, completely under churn.
Like biology?
like biology, constantly. And it just doesn't allow, it allows for mistakes, but mistakes have to come out of out of the genetic development. In many ways, uh, Dirigiste Heurism is kind of an organism growing for the first time, and it's, as I said, hierarchically heuristic and heuristically hierarchic. In other words, it climbs upon itself as it brings in big data, learning more and more and more about itself.
Like AI?
Like AI. Well, AI is what's used, of course, and that AI is a form of bullshit, actually, because these devices, any device you put together and calling it AI, is really operates entirely by by the criteria that you set up on the outside. So it's not self-learning or anything like that. It you're always setting new criteria, and when you're setting new criteria, then you kick the machine and it toggles again, coughs a couple of times, and then it stops, and you see what the fuck you got out of the machine. We're talking about what the new interconnections are, how a new government may or may not operate, etc. And you kick it again, put in new criteria. So AI operates with criteria. You can't operate AI without criteria, and of course mechanisms to test those criteria.
And do you think this could be help in terms of running governments?
There's no doubt about it. It's inevitable, and that's my theorem. My theorem refers to the inevitability of government under science.
And you think big data and AI go together nicely for running?
It's an aspect that's intrinsic. You're stuck with them. And indeed, what we should do, what I think we should do, is the theorem itself is only seven sentences long. And as far as I'm concerned, I think that you would do well to take a look at these 7 sentences. I'll put you in touch with a couple of other people that understand what the hell's going on here in this Dirigiste Heurism that I've abbreviated DH. Dirigiste Heurism is an interesting phrase because dirigisme is French, and it referred to the running of government, the running of the economic processes of government by government. That's dirigisme. Government sets economic policy. And heurism is, of course, heurism. It means, trial and error.
And did this theory come out of France, or is this out of the U.S.?
Out of me.
Okay.
Because the phrase Dirigiste Heurism is a phrase, and we have some friends of mine and I have found it convenient to refer to it as DH.
Mm-hmm.
But that's what it is. Dirigiste, dirigisme, D-I-R-I-G-I-S-M-E. Heurism, H-E-U-R-I-S-M. They both words exist, and combine the two into a phrase. You can look them up. You can Google both of them, and you can see what it is. It's like looking up artificial intelligence. You look it up, and you find out what it is. An institutionalization, more of the same. Look it up. It's fantastic.
And is there, if I go to Wikipedia, is it on Wikipedia?
It's all in everything. All this stuff is mine.
So, okay, but it's not on Wikipedia.
The Wikipedia is, yeah, I think it is, as a matter of
Okay,
fact.
all right, cool.
One way or another, put it this way, one way or another, you'll find it in there,
Okay.
legitimately.
Yeah.
And in fact, that is another reason for you to look up big data, because it's important to know what the definition is.
And did you do that academic paper at a conference where you presented?
I presented the one paper with the 7 statements of the proof of the inevitability of government under science. I presented that paper at USD,
Uh-huh.
yeah, University of San Diego, in 2016.
Okay.
And it was an abortive presentation because the chair did not like the way I was presenting it. I used dirty language.
Uh-huh.
And I'm never above that. I always find out that women in the audience appreciate the integrity of language.
Did they stop you early?
Yes, not merely.
All right.
Yeah, the guy was a son of a bitch. I'll never forget him.
And Perry, what do you think about the whole Me Too movement?
Oh, well, that's interesting because let's go around this way. It's interesting because it charges people with crimes that are a function, that are of cultural importance and cultural nature. In other words, people that have, men that were beating on women as they have been harassing them, etc., harassing them, etc., have been doing what was culturally logical and done from day zero of mankind. The primitive man has always abused, so to speak, women that way. So to have done so in the past is to punish a Weinstein today for being human, culturally acceptably human all this time. See that sophisticated piece again from a distance? That is fucking elegant.
It's nice, Perry.
It is. Anyhow, to punish people for cultural crimes of the past, for cultural inadequacies of the past, is bullshit, absolute bullshit.
And what did you think about the whole Supreme Court, Kavanaugh, and all this business?
More of the same. The point is that he identified himself as incapable of being objective when he blew up.
Mm-hmm.
That's a fundamental, it offsets everything else. On that grounds alone, you see, that's more of being a moral animal. He expressed his primitivity as a moral animal because it's not moral. Defending women, attacking women that way, or much of or any kind of what do you want to call it? Well, crudeness on female is really a cultural thing from the past. It was institutionalized, part of our thinking. So here comes Weinstein, and he expresses what everybody else expresses in some shape or form or another, and we're punishing him for what are culturally genetic, evolutionary situations. If this problem is addressed now is unfortunate.
So it's a genetic cultural stew.
Yes, and it should have been addressed a long time ago. We had all the opportunities in the world, but we didn't do it. Why didn't we do it? Because it was institutionalized. This is the problem. All of the stuff that we're trying to fix now is institutionalized. Why can't we solve the problems? Because they're institutionalized. We keep talking past each other any way you like it. Ambiguities are ambiguities. We still bring them into the fucking picture again and again and again. This little thing that you're doing now is a good idea. Put it together, don't put it together, draw up a podcast of some kind or another, get a fucking interview of me properly, and I'll bring in a couple of other people too.